this area.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, so, sometime when you've not experienced something, you feel you're an expert. Okay, so early in life, I started leading youth organizations, and then I talk about, as a matter of fact, I wrote my first book on relationship when I didn't have any experience.
Wow.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, so, but then when you now experience something, that's when you really know if what you wrote was just something from your
So
imagination.
in your case, what was it? Did you realize that, okay.
No, it wasn't about realizing I had a failed marriage.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So my first marriage didn't work. And it was, that process was, was the worst. I don't wish it for an enemy. Okay, so I picked up, and picking up, that's why I said healing does not mean the trauma didn't happen. And one of the challenges that I've seen around our climb is people just tell you, what is it, get over it. They don't just get over it.
Yes.
So such comments and statements actually do more damage, to the victim in this, instance, because you were not there. You didn't experience what they experienced, so you don't know. So don't tell them, no, it's okay. You just, no, it's not okay. Don't wave it off. Yeah, right? So that was my own experience. And it took me a long time to come out of it.
I mean, I love the fact that you're being so open about it. I think that it actually takes really, like real bravery to actually do that, like especially coming from a man as well. Because most times people think, okay, marriage relationships literally affects the women more. Now coming from you. So you had that experience and you decided, you know what, I'm going to go into this professionally and then try to help other people.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And how's the journey been so far?
So the interesting thing about it is that culturally, we're not a people who are inclined to being vulnerable, to want to talk about some of this, especially men.
Your gender.
Right? We don't. And I think one of the challenges is that in the helping industry that takes care of things like this, you have a lot of women who are there trying to help. And so the challenge is most times, and which is a challenge, that's why counseling and coaching are not the same thing. So that's why you don't find a lot of men in counseling. Because you don't want to go there and being tutored by another woman who feels like, maybe a reflection of, maybe where you're coming from or your mother.
Yes.
Because that's usually the challenge with men. We don't like to be told what to do. And that's what counseling does. It gives you an advice.
Yes, okay.
Coaching doesn't advise you.
True. So now let's go right into the top subject. So now why do you think it's necessary for people to always have it at the back of their minds that, see, despite the fact that you're healed or you're healing, the trauma still exists. Why is it necessary for people to actually have that right there?
I think it's important so that people don't live in denial.
Okay.
This situation happened. Okay, so in the process, and that's also been, in my understanding, that's actually where self-care starts from. If you really care about yourself, you really want this process to, you want to heal genuinely. You don't want to sweep it under the, the rug and say, okay, no, I'm okay. You want to macho it up. No, that's nothing to macho. So it's there. The trauma, existed, but we want to find a way out of it.
Past it.
Right? And what happens with that is there has to be a structured path out of it. So that way you know what steps, what processes you took that got you to your healing. And you know why that is necessary in case of a relapse. Because it happens. To say, okay, so where was I? How did I get there? And then how did I miss the mark? Then it becomes easy to retrace your step to say, okay. And it's not an easy journey.
Very true.
Yeah.
I can imagine that it's not. Okay, now when you're talking about healing, are we talking about healing? For instance, now you spoke about, having childhood traumas, maybe the way your mom was with it in the case of men and all of that, and then coming in, or you're talking more about probably like a healing from like a divorce now, or a broken relationship, or failed marriage, and things like that.
Yeah, so the healing is in the light of you experience in a marriage.
Okay.
Some people have endured abuse for years. Now, it's different around us here. We're not open to talking about things like this. You either get stigmatized. I've seen people get ostracized completely out of what is supposed to be a support system, especially if it's a faith-based support system.
True.
You are going to be alone. You'll be isolated. You're not going to have any support system. And that is actually what increases the trauma and leads people to want to do things, you know, to themselves, like self-harm, and say, look, I'm better off not being around here than being with this set of people or this kind of environment.
All right.
And so you see people just want to, you know, sometimes end it and say, no, there's no point here.
Okay, so now moving past all of that and like trying to heal from all of this, right? And then let's say peradventure, you now get into a new relationship, right? So you're coming to terms with yourself and saying, okay, fine, this existed now.
Yeah.
How, just for partners out there, how can they support someone coming out from something traumatic to literally better their own relationship they currently are in, as opposed to using it against them?
Yeah, thank you. So usually I would ask people to not use getting into another relationship as a coping mechanism, right, from what they've experienced, because that's what most people do, because you've been used to the comfort of companionship and suddenly it's not there. So you find out that you're trying to hang on to just anything that comes. And so what happens is you're living an abused relationship or abused marriage or whatever is making that relationship end. You're going to take all of your damaged self into the next relationship. It's going to reflect. So I always say, take some time to heal, to get yourself back, self-awareness, know who you are, what do you want. See, your life is beautiful enough without a man or a woman. Don't try to hang on and try to find validity for your life by being in a relationship. So heal. If you need to take a year, 2 years, it's okay. But get yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be creating another toxic relationship.
True.
Okay, so you find some people come into a new relationship, they start projecting their insecurities from the previous relationship, and you want to drive your new partner crazy with that. So it's usually a lot of problems. And people who are in a relationship with such a person, they must show a level of understanding and empathy, and then to help them walk through the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.